He challenged me. He said, you should meet 2 or 3 people every day.
We're talking about how to level up on LinkedIn and engagement. Being the go-giver, the idea that being open to opportunity.
We all deal with challenges, but how do you overcome that?
Master Connector with Steve Spiro is live on air.
Everybody to the Master Connector Show. I am Rob Genovesi. I'm your co-host for the next half hour or so. So excited to come at you again, live again this week. And, this show is all about connection. It's about being the light. It's about bringing people together and highlighting people, being a champion for other people so we can all learn and grow together. My co-host, Steve Spiro, he and I go back 27 years or so. And as 2 former shy guys and certainly introverts, we've both had our journeys. And we started out together kind of coming up through the business ranks and networking ranks. Our paths split at some point. We both went our separate ways, but then we came back together through networking again. So it's really interesting that, the Master Connector Show is about connecting. And when he and I came together, a lot of good things came out of that. And this show in particular. But if you don't know Steve, he is the Master Connector. I love that bit in the intro video. It talks about a mentor of ours that challenged him to meet 2 to 3 people every single day. Now, I don't know how that hits you, but after grade school, I really wasn't making any more friends. And as an adult, we tend not to. But here, Steve is in his adult prime, meeting new people all the time. And that's what it is to be a master connector. Now, look, I'm a connector too, a little bit a different way. We both have our unique styles. But the point is this, no matter where you are, whatever journey, whatever stage of life you're in, you can be a connector, you can be a light, and you can be the one who is connecting the dots for people. So help me welcome to the show, the Master Connector himself, Mr. Steve Spiro. What's up, Steve?
Hey, what's going on, Rob? I appreciate you, sir. Yeah, 27 years. It's like that, man. It went like that. It's crazy to think about it. But what's going on, friends? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. And I want to make sure right now, if you can, put in the comments right now where you're from. We want to hear your voice. We just see a number. Okay, this X number of people that are watching the show. So we don't know if you're here watching unless you get in the comments. So get in. Tell us what city, state, what country you're coming in from. We want to know about you. And it's also an opportunity as you get in there and connect with each other. Make sure you connect with the person you're seeing in comments. So better shot at somebody connecting with you on LinkedIn, right? It's a networking platform if you're in the comments. So let's go ahead and do that. But today we're going to talk about a cool topic, which is make them feel you. And there's a few directions that you can go here, several ways in which you make people feel you, okay? I learned, and Rob probably heard at the same time that I did, right, about tone and tempo and volume. And, notice that when I start this, I shout out, Master Connector coming at you live and direct, right? It's kind of the energy that you bring, right? It's that, that could really determine and get people that are maybe a little bit asleep to like wake up, right? And wow, this guy is got something to say, right? The other thing you want to talk about is, and you want to think about when you're looking to get people to feel you, is that authenticity. A big part of our show is, one of our pillars is connecting authentically and leading with vulnerabilities, leading with weaknesses, right? I know you're going to hear about Jen and some of her story, and she's got an incredible story that kind of tugs on your heartstrings. And when you talk about some of those things, I talk about being shy and introverted, being bullied, being, learning disabled, right? When you start breaking down barriers through sharing some of those vulnerabilities, people have to say, and they start to listening from a different ear. They hear things from an emotional perspective. And that's right. And one of the, famous talks, Start With Why, the Golden Circle, famous author / marketing guy, Simon Sinek, he talks about it. He talks about, you start with why. It's not about the who. Well, it could be about the who, actually. It's not about the what or the how. I find it's about the why and also the who. Very, very important, right? But people also relate through stories. So tell stories. That's another way, right? They kind of see themselves in their story. And you're appealing to their emotional side when you're speaking through stories. And again, it's about moving them through emotion, not through logic. So if you're ready for my man Rob G to introduce our guest, I want you to type in the hashtags right now. Hashtag let's go right in the comments, and we'll get Rob bringing up Jen. Rob, turn it to you, sir.
Awesome, Steve. I'm really excited to bring up Jen. She and I actually had the opportunity to speak just a little earlier today. And I'm going to tell you something. I was sitting there enraptured, fascinated by her story. And I thought my story was pretty good. Listen, she's a butt kicker. She's an overcomer. And look, Jen Crowe is the soul technician and the founder of the Soul-ular method. She's a Wheel of Fortune winner, a multiple near-death survivor. She has 20 years as a sales and relationship marketing pro in the automotive and insurance industries. She's your TikTok hype gal, and she's a soul coach that will also teach you how to attract social connections through social media so that you can truly grow before your time expires. It's time to activate your life. Please help us welcome to the show, Miss Jen Crowe. Welcome, Jen.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, gentlemen. Hello,
Great to have
hello.
you. Yeah, it's
Thanks
great
for
to have
having
you on
me.
the show. Absolutely. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, Jen, we are excited to have you. It's an honor to have you on here. And so we want to dive in here because we're trying to keep this show to 30 minutes. Okay. So
Man. Okay. We can
yeah,
do it. We can do it.
we,
All
we
right.
could do it. We could do it. Right. Because people are busy and now post-COVID, people's time frames, they used to live online and now people want to be in the real world. Right.
I
But let's
totally-
talk about impressions. So community, type in hashtag impression. And by the way, we're excited. Denise, it's great to have you on here from New York City coming in. Daniel Andrews, right? We just had a conversation from Columbia, South Carolina. Excited to have you on the show here, Daniel. And yeah, listen, Daniel writes, make a point to discover their referability as much as you can, as much as you uncover your referability. Not everyone has that is friendly. Okay. Yeah, you can read that. I am learning disabled, so reading is hard for me, but there you go. I appreciate that. Check in the comments and let's go. So yeah, so let's type in hashtag impression. And here's the question for you, Jen, right?
Sure.
How can one authentically connect on a personal and professional level with their audience and VIPs to leave a lasting impression? What's the key to making them feel you?
Right. Well, I think Maya Angelou always says it best, right? It's not what you say, it's how you make someone feel. And through my experience in sales and relationship, making master connecting, if you will, I love that term, by the way. The one thing that is unanimous, and as somebody that actually arrived on their last day and looked back on life being told my time was up, the one thing I realized was the most important thing on that day was the connections. And it's the connections either that you create, nurture, and most importantly, that you forgive with yourself and others. And when you are in the position of connecting to people, whether it's virtually or in person, the most important thing is that they feel you. And so I came up with this acronym, FEEL, which really represents what we need to do to reach people on a cellular, that deeper level. And that is to facilitate emotional experiences, whether it's for loyalty, leverage, or love. So that's the FEEL acronym, but it's about genuinely and authentically understanding what it is emotionally that is going to move the needle for that person.
I love that. And I love your little acronyms and things, that the 3 L's there and the feel. That's awesome. That's great. And I love the cellular.
Yes.
That's so cool. I love that phrase, right?
Yes.
So we want to talk about hacks. So type in hashtag hacks community. Again, we're LinkedIn participants here, right? Not LinkedIn lurkers. So we want everyone getting there. Like sometimes I know my mom who's been, keep her in prayer because she's been having some health stuff. She's doing really better now, but she was like one of the best, loyal persons on our show, believe it or not, Mama Spiro. And she would be like, Steve, I want to participate, but I don't know what to say. So, okay, I'm giving you the answer. Type in hashtag hacks. Okay. All right. But anyway, Jen, we want to know, for those looking to accelerate their social media growth and impact, what are some strategies to achieve this without spending a dime? Share some insights on cost-effective growth hacks.
Sure, absolutely. So the first part is to really readjust your perspective and your mindset on social media in general. We are in an era right now where your ideal audience and your clientele, the people that need to learn about you, your product, or your service, if you're out of sight, you're out of mind. We know that. But the fact is that a lot of people let fear or false emotions appearing real get in the way of showing up. And you're doing people a disservice if they cannot see you. So, one of the easiest ways to do it is to identify yourself first. They always talk about identifying your audience, but who are you? What is your identity? How do you want to show up and be perceived? That's number one. The second part is, what is it that you truly do offer? We talk about the why, but a lot of people get so hung up on the why that they forget the impact that their why makes. So, on the receiving end of this, what are people going to receive from you? And the hack that I teach is SPS, and that stands for symptom, problem, and solution. So, when we are giving content, we often focus on the problem. People talk about the problem you have, the problem you have. Well, newsflash, a lot of people don't realize what the problem is or the cause, but they feel the symptom, they feel an emotion. So, this is a way to structure how you speak to people so that you are speaking to their emotion first, the thing that they're in, that they're drowning in, they're feeling, what they want to feel, right? And then we discuss the problem and the cause of that. And then you bring in your solution, and then it's the how to make that happen, whether you call that a CTA or your call to action ultimately. So it's really about getting them to feel, and you do that in your hook, you do that in the first thing that you talk about, and that's the difference that is moving the needle for my clients.
I love that. And there's so much good stuff there. But the one part that little just bang right out at me was the FEAR acronym. I never heard it said. I've always heard false evidence appearing real, not
Mhm.
false emotion appearing real.
Mhm.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah,
Again, we're talking about, making people feel you and emotion. So that's just stuck out to me. Everything
right.
you said was amazing, but that one
Yeah.
just stuck out.
Yep.
But you talked about the why. So I want to kind of dig into that a little bit. And so type in hashtag why community. And so why is emotional connection so vital in today's digital landscape, right? And how does it translate into tangible benefits for personal and professional growth?
Tangible benefits being what we're receiving, right? We
Sure.
had a big conversation about this. The
Yeah.
tangible benefits are what you're going to define them as. One of the things that I find when I work with anyone that is not approaching social media as a primary source of connection and revenue or tangible asset, is that they're not clear on what that is. And so, what is your definition of the tangible takeaway that you want? And how are you going to receive that? So the why really is your mission. It's why we're doing what we do. However, until you've explained that and that's emotionally landed and impacted somebody else, the takeaway really isn't there. And we have to redefine. And I find that a lot of people continually have to redefine and reinvent, if you will, as they go on. So the tangible takeaway is get real clear and understand what it is that you want to receive from whomever that you're trying to reach. But more importantly, they need to understand what they're going to get from you above and beyond just that solution. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a
Definitely.
lot of sense. You actually made me think about something. Whereas when I was doing business
Mhm.
and I was doing it to make money. Now, we all want to make money and we need money for the mission and we need to, feed our loved ones and whatnot and shelter them.
Important.
But when it's just for that, when I was doing that, it really didn't take on much meaning.
Mhm.
And it was a grind. When I actually connected with my mission, and you mentioned that word, in the branding world, which is my world, that's part of developing a brand is that mission because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you. It's the reason that people want to connect with you. And so having that purpose, that mission, when I developed that for myself, it changed everything. So like you say that and you understand, because we talk like your mission is huge right now
Mhm.
because of what you've experienced. But
Right.
I always recommend to people, they discount it a little bit because they want to get past it and move on. But I would say really spend time on that mission, like Jen's talking about, so that you can have that driving force that actually helps you make a bigger impact in the industry you're in.
Right.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect.
That's
Mhm.
great. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, so we want to move on here with I got a question here, and so type in hashtag top 3. So can you reveal the 3-step hack? You talk about that to rock content engagement, right? What's the key elements that can turn a piece of content into a magnet for audience interaction and connection?
Absolutely. I'm gonna backtrack because it will lead into this just for a moment. Part of
Sure.
the mission and the why goes into this 3-step hack. And in my Soul-ular method, one of the things that I explain to people is that we adopt identities and belief systems that aren't necessarily ours, right? I'll ask people, the first thing I do when I start, are your belief systems your own? And one of the things that's attached to a false identity that is not necessarily yours is unconscious or subconscious obedience to a belief. And where that ends up falling is that when we're talking about the mission and the why, we understand why we're doing it, but sometimes we're not following all the way through. So when we go into the 3-step hacks, it's really important to ask yourself, first of all, do you have any subconscious belief systems that are holding you back from actually getting out the mission and the message that you truly want to? And do you have anything that's holding you back subconsciously that is going to impact the results that the person or people are going to receive that need you the most? So when we go into the 3-step hack, number one, I brushed on that before. It is understanding how to structure your content. And it really starts with the symptom. It's symptom, problem, solution. The next part is really understanding who your audience is, but drilling that down. When I look at people that are putting their content and their messaging up, it's really broad. But I also don't believe in niching down necessarily unless it has to be specific. The other hack is that you have to remember you are the niche. It's understanding why you're different and being able to express that, which I do not see people doing enough. So that's number 2. And the third is it's really that call to action, but it's really about understanding how to show people how to move their needle, right? So there's a lot of people out there that reserve all their secrets and their process. And my whole philosophy, the hack to really moving people to engage with you is give it all away. Give it away. Just give it all away. Because those who want you and need you the most will be, it's the magnet, right? What we think is electric, it's what we put out. But our heart space, what's true, is a magnet. So what we put out, give it all away from here so that you can attract magnetically the people that need you.
But Jen, what would you say if somebody said to you, if I give it all away, then I'm giving away my secrets and therefore they won't want to work with me?
Absolutely. And people, that's a big fear, right? That's a false emotion, because what we're not doing is diving into the truth is that people might be able to take the process. But when you have convinced or been able to show people who you are, how you're different, and why you do what you do, people don't have the puzzle pieces. You can give anyone a solution to something, but how they implement it may or may not ever be the way that they really choose to, because they do not have that piece of that puzzle. You are the piece of that puzzle. You are the one that is going to show them the how.
I love that.
What you're saying is you put it out there, but for a person to actually get results with it, they still need you to put it together with them and for them.
Correct. Right. You need to be able to help them to really understand their identity, how they're going to showcase the strategy, the structure, all the things. I mean, and that's if somebody's looking for the answers already and you give them a solution, if they're already looking for the answers, they don't have the foundational components yet. And, and that's just something that you have to believe.
One of the things that a lot of what you talked about resonated with me, and Rob, thanks for bringing those extra. Great. So, for me, I was also struggling with sort of an identity, right? I was kind of forced into this to try to be somebody I wasn't, if you will. And, this mentor that we speak about, incredible man, but I was always going to be a second class him. I was going to be, a first class myself. And I had to realize So number one, I needed to do some deep soul seeking, right? And I first had to get peace within myself and know that I'm good and I'm valuable and I can contribute. And once I was able to do that, then I kind of figured out, okay, what's going to be my true identity that means something to me, that really reflects me. And I think that's a lot of times people struggle because they're like, I want to contribute on LinkedIn, but I don't know what to contribute. And I tell people, why don't you figure out who you truly are and what you can contribute. Like I've got a guy that I'm mentoring, young man. He's an incredible guy, and one of the things, he's a comedian. So I said, well, why don't you put out a post regularly on something funny every week, right? And just something that you believe in, that you're about, right? And that's different, right? And it adds value for people. So I think so important to really break through those barriers. You said they were sort of things that were subconsciously holding you back. For me, it was just not believing in myself, not really being comfortable in my own skin, and getting that, get that healed. And then I was able to now be able to contribute to the world and feel good about that I have value to give the world, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to kind of move into, I'm going to talk about hashtag feel. So community, put in that right now, hashtag feel. So can you provide, real life examples, right? Because you were talking about how you show people. That was something you said in when you spoke before. So can you provide real life examples or case studies of individuals or brands that have successfully made their audience feel them, right? And what lessons can we draw from that, from their experiences?
Okay. Well, I think I can probably offer some names that might ring a bell for a few people.
There you go.
And I'm looking for the type of people that when they start talking, no matter how they look, right? It's not about how you look. It's about what you're presenting. Gary V's of the world, for example, right? The Abraham Hicks, Alex Hormozi, Layla Hormozi, they have gone and just completely eliminated the status quo. And one of the things that I love about that portion of it is that when they are presenting, they stopped doing what we call the norm, right? They just got away from it. They show up in a ball cap, they show up in jeans, but they're talking to you on a real level. So any brand that has learned how to harness that authentic place, especially post-COVID, I mean, people's expectations and what they want have completely changed. So any brand that you see that is suddenly talking to you and not talking at you, and they're talking from your level of value and understanding, is a great example of the feel method.
I love that. And Gary Vee is a great example. And often when I tell people my story, I love, they're like, hey, you're like Gary Vee because your dad had a liquor store. You grew up in the wine business and marketing background, and Eastern European. And, I don't know what his age is, but maybe similar in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take that if anyone wants to put me in the category with Gary Vee. Sure, why not? I'll leverage that. Right. But he's a great example, and some of the others you mentioned as well. And by the way, I want to just throw a few things out, people here. I just want to mention Daniel, saying thank you. Already made quality intro after our Zoom meeting this morning. Absolutely, Daniel. I appreciate you, sir. And Denise is chiming in and checking in here. And I want to just acknowledge what Daniel said, right? Which is the best hack is being authentic, right? For sure.
Yes.
And so we've had some contribution here, and Scott Gerber calls it intellectual philanthropy. I like that. Very cool. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so good stuff. So I appreciate it. So we're getting towards the top of the bottom of the half hour, whatever you would call it, right? So I wanted to touch on one last thing here as we're talking about taking action, right? Because to me, everything is great, but if you do nothing with it, right? A lot of these great, I'm awesome, listen to some amazing PMA books, and there are a lot of them, the good ones say, hey, don't just take what we do, but apply it, right? And some of them have, I just finished Chop Wood, Carry Water Again by Metcalf. Great book. And he says, listen, if you want the action plan, just email me and I'll get you the action plan. So type in hashtag action. And so here's what I want to talk about. What's the actionable piece of advice you give to our audience today to immediately start making more meaningful and emotional impact on their audience, both personally and professionally? Let's give us some call to action here.
Absolutely. The very first step I'm going to encourage everyone to take is to step back from everything that you think you know about your audience, about your clientele, about the person that you want to impact. I want you to step back and actually feel them. I want you to be, I want you to facilitate that emotional experience. Where are they in their life? What are they doing? And from that, I'm going to encourage you to get out a pen and paper, old school, and write down every single emotion that you can possibly imagine they feel, and not just the ones that are obvious. I want you to think about where they go in their car when no one can hear them or see them. I want you to think about where they are in the shower when no one can hear their thoughts, behind closed doors when they're about to lose it all, or they're trying to figure out the solution in the next step without asking for help. So many of us have a hard time asking for help. And where do we end up? Not in, the flow. We're not fluid. But I want you to actually just sit there and make that the list that all of your content stems from. And from that emotional piece, that symptom that you've written down, think about what caused it, what the problem was, how you would explain that in their real life, in their moment, and then what they need and how they attain it to give them the solution that they need.
It's fantastic. It's great stuff. Wow. Phenomenal. Robbie G?
It's perfect. I mean, a lot of what I hear people talk about seems to be a very theoretical, conceptual. And for you to put it in, distinct action steps is what people need. And I think we need more action from people. And, and in our networking circles, I see this a lot. People will hear the concepts, but they don't know how to put it into action.
Right.
Now, Steve is an action guy. As long as I've known Steve, it's like give Steve a task and he's like a machine. He's on it. And he's
I love that.
mostly action, actually. Mostly action. I'm kind of the opposite of Steve. We complement each other in a sort of way. I'm very conceptual, but I have to remember, I gotta go to work now. So you gotta outline those steps. So I love how you're taking something that's very conceptual, because feel for some people, they're a little off put by that.
Sure.
Because that involves my emotions and my heart. And if you put that out there, somebody's going to kick it. Somebody's going to, throw a rock at it. So it's hard to do. But when you connect the concept of feel with the action the way you did, I think that's the thing that's really going to help people, because at the bottom of everything, right? We know this. People act on emotion, then they back it up with logic, right?
Yes.
That's great. Well, speaking of call to action, Rob, I think we have Jen has an offer, right?
Yeah. Jen, tell us about this offer. I'm going to put this in the chat for everybody, but tell us a little bit about what you're giving us today, or giving the audience.
Yeah. So I did a video. This is like a 20-minute tutorial that you're going to get. And I break down the feel even deeper. And I talk about the strategy behind it. So it's a 20-minute tutorial video on how to set up your content, why you want to do it, how you want to do it for different personality types. And then I threw in an added bonus today. It's 150 ways that you can create effective content without ever showing your face on camera, for all of my introverts out there.
Wow.
That's a big bonus. Like that's, I think, that's the biggest fear. It's like, I don't want to put my face out there.
Yeah. So many people, they feel that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it. What's the best way for the audience to get in touch with you? How would you like them to connect with you best?
Yeah. My website's going to be the fastest way right now, which is growwithcrowe.com. And Crowe has an E like Russell, not Cheryl. Although I was told recently that half the audience may not know who they are. So that was a little bit of a shocker, but here we are. That made me feel something.
Yeah, right. That's right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And, for all our people out there who are looking to connect, I love that you said, some people don't want to put their face out there, right? But if we're truly connecting with people, this is why I actually loved Zoom so much. For all the tragedy that COVID brought, it brought us Zoom into the mainstream. Because I'm not a particularly a phone guy, because I need to see you, because then, and in Jen's case, what she's saying is I can feel you, right? If we can see each other's eyes, we can really feel each other a lot more. And so, but connecting with people is still at the heart of everything we're doing. I want to talk about this book here. Our own Steve Spiro, he wrote his book based on his experiences I highly recommend this book, The Tao of a Master Connector. Steve, the Tao part comes in. Steve is a multi-degree black belt in multiple martial arts disciplines. He's a very unassuming guy. He can kill you 3 different ways before you even know what's happening.
Wow.
But he was a martial artist when it comes to connecting. So you want to know the thoughts of what goes up behind a guy who is, Steve said it. He's learning disabled, right? He's a former shy guy. He's an introvert. So he gives us hope. You're going to want to pick up this book here. I highly recommend it. It's going to help people connect as well. I'm going to put that right up on the screen there. And Steve, I think, did you have, you had something that just passed, but here's the book here. You can get your copy today. I'm going to be putting this in the chat as we close up, but you won't be sorry for reading this book.
Yeah, the Audible thank you, Rob. But the Audible just came out. So if you're learning disabled or you don't have the ability to sit still and read a book, you could actually pick up the Audible on the Audible. It's been amazing too. So I think putting that in the comments. But again, Jen, we're going to have you go to the backstage, but we appreciate you big time. So appreciative of having you on the show. You brought a lot of value. You brought the light. Thank you for making us feel you and showing us how others could really have people feel you as well. So appreciate.
You're so welcome.
Thank you for coming, Jen.
And to the audience community, we just appreciate you. We love you. We appreciate you so much. We would not be here. The reason we're here, we're not doing this for money, right? We won't give the money back if we get some, but we're doing it because we love you, we appreciate you, and we want to make a difference. And so definitely just appreciate you. And Rob G, thank you so much, sir. You've been an incredible asset to obviously, the next phase of the show, and just so appreciative of you and all that you do behind the scenes and throughout the whole show, and just appreciate you as well. But make sure, community, to join us next week, same back time, same back channel. We're going to be talking about the path of light chasers with Dean Fisher. It's going to be interesting, right? Because we are light chasers. We're chasing the light. We're light workers. Also, is another phrase I've heard. So definitely make sure to tune in next week, same bad time, same bad channel, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be amazing. I just want to say this as we close, right? Listen, you know what's going on with Israel and Ukraine, and it's a crazy world right now. There's a lot of hurting people, and it's our mission. It's my belief. It's our mission to be the light, to uplift, inspire, encourage. Let's make sure to just, make people feel good. Just, listen, it's not about tearing down somebody's building so your building is going to be taller. I believe that the more you uplift others, the more you want to help them, see them succeed. As their ship rises, right? A rising tide raises all ships. As their ship rises, our ship rises, right? So let's use uplifting as a way to make things better in this world. And I believe if everybody does that, we'll be in a better place in the long run. So just to love and appreciate you. Have an amazing day. We're going to close out with a video, but make sure to be the light. Love you. See you next week. He challenged me. He said, you should meet 2 or 3 people every day.
We're talking about how to level up on LinkedIn and engagement, being the go-giver, the idea that being open to opportunity.
We're all deal with challenges, but how do you overcome that?
Master Connector with Steve Spiro is live on air.